Let's take a look at what's going on with Dogecoin today. Okay, so here's what we've been looking at the past couple days. We had a big run up and then we were bouncing in between these two trend lines right here. We had support and resistance, the top, the top, the top, bottom, 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 giving me these two trend lines, and we're basically bouncing in between those two spots right there, or those two trend lines. We actually, yesterday, we did break out going to the upside yesterday. It wasn't like a huge breakout though. Like, I would have liked to see us break this resistance because we were waiting for us to break this resistance going to the upside. After that, I was targeting from the bottom of the flagpole to the top of the flagpole. It kind of looks like a flag, a bull flag in my opinion, kind of. We had this big run up and then consolidation. If we broke that going to the upside, that could have potentially been a flag pattern. But when we broke out right here, I was hoping that it would have kept going and got a more momentum than it kind of did. We came up, we got some trouble right here. Sorry. Came up, got some trouble right here, and then started kind of pushing down. There was a couple trend lines in there. I was watching on the 1 hour time frame, something like this. Let's go ahead and zoom in. There was support, something like this. Let's go ahead and draw this trend line. It was something like that. Once we broke here, then I was like, oh, we might be not in trouble, but it might not be a breakout that I was hoping for and or looking for. So right here might have been a bad signal. Let's see what happens though. The other thing that I'm looking at, so we broke this trend line right here, that one on the hourly. But if we go to the 4 hour, we have another uptrend that we're still technically on. We have support, giving me this trend line going to the upside. As long as we can stay, we're still above that trend line right there. And as long as we can stay above it, then hopefully we can find support on it and continue to bounce to the upside. It's still possible anyways. If we break this trend line going to the downside right here, which it looks like we're testing right now, then that's when we can see a move to the downside. In that situation, let's say we do break this going to the downside, we'd have to look at places that it could be potentially going down to, because right now we technically have resistance right here, giving us a downtrend, something like this. Until we break, let's go to the 1 hour time frame or something like that. Let's do, okay, so I'm on the 1 hour Dogecoin, and then we'll do something like this. If we can break this resistance trend line going to the upside, then we can start getting a little more bullish or getting more confident that we are pushing to the upside. But right now it does look like we're stuck in between this downtrend and this uptrend. It's going to have to pick a way to go either up or down. If we break going to the downside, the thing that I'd be looking at is this previous support and or bottoms. Like I tell you, when we have a trend line, something like this. Let's go ahead and draw a trend line right here from this support and this support. What I always kind of do is I watch the trend. If we break that trend going sideways, what I like to do is watch the top and then watch the bottom. Once we break going to the upside or to the downside, then we have a better idea of what's going on. So let's say we do break this trend line going to the downside. There's two lines that I'm kind of looking at. Let's go back to the 4 hour. We have this support line that I talked about at the beginning. We have support, giving me this trend line. We can drag this line out, and this could potentially be a spot that we could bounce on. Like, let's say we broke to the downside right here. Potentially, we could be looking at this line somewhere on this line, should I say. The other spot that I was thinking is we have this bottom right here and this bottom right here. Let's go ahead and set up another line right here. And this line is it's like a horizontal line sitting at around 0.340. So that could be another potential place that we could go down to and or get a bounce from if we break this trend line going to the downside. It does kind of look, yesterday I was talking about it like I wanted to see us break this. I wanted to see it break the resistance and really start flying, and get some green volume candles behind it. So we didn't quite do that. We still have declining volume. There was some green candles right here, but the volume's kind of declining again. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. I'm still kind of holding on to see what happens, but I mean held this long, so I'm probably gonna hold for until it actually really pays off. But yeah, so I didn't quite get scared yet. I was thinking about it yesterday though. When we broke that trend line, I was like, even like, let's go to the 5 minute time frame. Even when we did this one up here, when we started breaking to the downside in this area, because I was watching the 5 minute and we had an uptrend like this. There was a couple uptrends. There was one like that, and then there was another one like this. We broke this first one, and this is on the 5 minute time frame. We broke this one, and I was like, oh no, we might be starting a correction. And then I was like, okay, well, we have this next one to hold on to. Boom, broke that one going to the downside too, and I was like, uh-oh. So we're getting these like kind of bearish signals slightly, where we're breaking the trend, and then we're starting to go to the downside. And then after that, let's see, after that on the 5 minute, I was watching something like this, where we had this little downtrend, resistance giving me a downtrend. We broke that going sideways, and ever since then we've kind of just been stuck in this little sideways area. So yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, I think those are some of the main things I'm looking at. Like on the 4 hour time frame, we have this uptrend right here. I'm kind of curious if we're going to hold support on here and break to the upside, or if we're going to break to the downside and start looking at this previous bottom right here, sitting at around 340, or if we could be potentially looking at this trend line that's moving downward this way. So it depends on where we'd come into contact with this trend line, because it's moving down, giving us different numbers as we go down. So it's hard to like completely like nail down a price on that. But like I said, we have these previous bottoms right here. These are the next spots that I'd be looking at or for support and or bounce if it breaks to the downside. I'm not sure if it will or not, but it looks like it's kind of testing that support right now, which makes it more possible that it could break it. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Let's go ahead and get rid of this one, because we already kind of dealt with that. Let's go ahead and line this up a little bit more. So basically, these are the main two spots that I'm looking at. Let's go ahead and let's delete this one for now. And yeah, so basically we're looking at this downtrend. We're looking at this support. Is it going to break to the upside or to the downside? Once it does, then we have a better idea of what it's going to do. But that's kind of what I'm looking at on Dogecoin today. I thought we were breaking out yesterday, or I wasn't sure. That's why I put a question mark in the thumbnail, because I was like, I'm not sure if we are breaking out or we're not. It kind of looks like we are. We're breaking the resistance at least. It looks good, but we're not. The volume, the thing about yesterday is we didn't have the volume quite yet, and that's why that's what I was hoping for, that would come in, that green volume, but we didn't get it, and we had a little bit of trouble. Started pushing to the downside. Let's see if we can hold support and break to the upside though. So I'm still trying to have patience with it. Let's go ahead and take a look at Dogecoin to Bitcoin. Same thing with this chart. I mean, this is pretty much exactly the same thing. We had a big run up. So if this chart is going up, then Dogecoin is going good. And if this chart is going down, then Bitcoin is doing good. It's Dogecoin compared to Bitcoin. Like if you were trading Dogecoin compared to Bitcoin. So like, right. Yeah, in general. So like I said, if it's going up, then it's good for Dogecoin. If it's going down, then it's good for Bitcoin. Right now, we watch this chart because when we break resistances going to the upside, that's good signs for Dogecoin. When we break supports going to the downside, that's bad for Dogecoin, or it's good for Bitcoin and not for Dogecoin. Right now, same thing with the Doge chart. We had a big run up, then consolidation. We broke that resistance going to the upside, and we were on this trend line right here where we had support, and then it looks like we broke that one going down. So when we break these supports going to the downside, it's good for Bitcoin, but it's not good for Dogecoin. We're gonna have to wait and see on that. I was really hoping that we could break out of this top right here and this previous resistance. If we zoom out, let's go to the daily time frame. This was a previous resistance right here. Ever since we broke this resistance right here, we've been flying, and I've been looking at the next previous resistance after this one, because we had resistance, giving me this trend line. We broke that. The next one that I was looking at is the next previous resistance right here. Boom, came up, hit that one. Looked at the next resistance. Boom, came up, hit that one, broke through it. The next one I was looking at is right here. Boom, came up, broke through it, and then the next one was up here, right around where we got stopped. What I was thinking though is if we could break out of that, the one that we're at right now, then the next leg up would be give us some nice room to push the next one. But it looks like we're having trouble in this area. Let's see what happens. I still think if we can get maybe. The other thing that happens too is this one right here was a previous resistance. Right here we came down, found support on it, and got a bounce on it. It flipped from resistance once we broke through it. Then right here we got support on it. Let's see if it flipped from resistance to support. So right here we got support, we got a bounce on it. Basically what I'm saying is if we come down, maybe we'll come down, find support on it, and get a bounce on it. If we could break through right here, then that's when we can maybe start flying again. But if we break that support, that support that we got right here, then it's possible that we might be heading to the next one and or the next one. So that's kind of something that I'm looking at. We basically tested the support right here, broke it going to the downside. Now we're kind of looking at spots moving down. So let's take a look at, this was the Dogecoin to Bitcoin chart. Let's take a look at the actual Bitcoin to dollar chart. This is an interesting chart right here. It does look like we're testing the resistance, which could be a good thing. Same thing kind of on this chart. We had like a big run and then consolidation. If we could break that resistance going to the upside, that's going to be good in general for crypto and for Bitcoin. I believe we're at the all-time high right now, or like, yeah, pretty much the all-time highs right here. So this is looking pretty decent for Bitcoin. The only thing that I don't really love is the way this, so we have this run up and then consolidation. The way this consolidation is going, I mean, in a bull, okay, so here's why I don't like it, is because it almost looks like a rising wedge where we have these two trend lines. We have resistance and support. We're bouncing in between those two trend lines and we're moving to the upside, and it's getting tighter and tighter. That's kind of like a rising wedge, which is a bearish pattern. But in a bull market, it's definitely possible. I mean, I've seen it like a ton of times where we get these rising wedges. This one doesn't look like a perfect rising wedge, but we get rising wedges and it breaks to the upside in a bull market. It's very kind of common. So the fact that we're testing the resistance right now is a pretty good thing. Let's see if we could break through that resistance and then come up to the next level. I was thinking that we could target from the bottom to the top of the flagpole, because we had this little pole and then we had consolidation. If we could break that going up, then I'd be looking at a target. I think it was this line right here. It should be this line right here. So we're targeting from we get the line tool, we drag from the bottom of the pole to the top of the pole, something like that. Drag that to the breakout. Let's say we broke out somewhere right here. That gives us a target of around 107,000, but we do need to break this resistance before we can do that. And like I was saying, it kind of looks like a rising wedge, so it's possible that we get rejected right here, come down, break this one, and start heading down. But let's see what happens. In general, like I was saying, it does look like we're testing the resistance though. It looks like we're testing the resistance. If we could break through it, that's going to be a good thing for Bitcoin. It's going to be a good thing for Dogecoin and crypto in general, in my opinion. So that's also why I don't really want to give up quite yet, because Bitcoin's looking pretty strong, at least right now. If we break this trend line going to the downside, then that's when I might start losing a little less confidence in general on the market in general. Same with this chart. This is the total crypto market. So it looks very similar. And this one looks more of like that rising wedge than Bitcoin did, because we have higher highs, higher lows. It's getting tighter and tighter. It's kind of bouncing in between these two trend lines where we have resistance and support. And this looks like more of like that rising wedge, tighter and tighter and tighter. We just saw with Dogecoin the opposite, where that big, we've been talking about that for the last couple months, where we had that big falling wedge, something like this. We broke the resistance and then started breaking to the upside, and that is a bullish pattern. This is the same thing except the opposite, where we're moving to the upside, getting tighter and tighter and tighter. That is technically a bearish pattern, but like I was saying, in bull markets, it's not uncommon for us to break to the upside and keep going and get more parabolic. In fact, that's like how we get those parabolic moves, where it'll like move to the upside, form a rising wedge, and then kind of go up more, and it just looks like I said, parabolic. So the total crypto market cap, basically this is all the money in crypto, but it does kind of look like it's in a rising wedge. Let's see if it can break to the upside and break that resistance. If it can, same thing with Bitcoin. If it can, then that's going to be a good thing for all the crypto in general. Let's see what else we got. We talked about Bitcoin, we talked about Dogecoin. Let's see what's kind of moving today. Cardano is looking good. I have a coworker that's in Cardano. Let's go ahead and take a look at the daily time frame right now. We were looking at this Fibonacci retracement chart. So just to get like another, I don't know if you're not familiar with this channel very much. I was talking about the Fibonacci retracement chart on Dogecoin for a long time. But basically when we have this big run up and then we start moving to the downside, then we can get the Fibonacci retracement tool, drag from the bottom of the run to the top of the run, and that gives us the levels to watch as we go down. That could potentially hold support. And then check out this too. This is like kind of like a rising wedge. It wasn't a wedge, but it was a rising channel. Once we broke that trend line going to the downside, then I was looking at the previous supports right here and right here. We came down, I don't know, we broke this support right here, but or that target that we would be looking at once we broke to the downside. Okay, going back to the Fibonacci retracement levels though. The Fibonacci retracement levels give us places to look at for possible support, but it also gives us this top. So we have the bottom and the top, and right now it looks like we're breaking the top right here. And you guys saw what happened when we did that with Dogecoin. If you're following the channel, I mean, if you go back and watch older videos, but once we broke out of that top on Dogecoin, that's when we really started flying as well. So let's see what happens with Cardano. We broke this previous top right now, and it looks like we might be breaking out of that. The next spots that I'd be looking at are maybe this previous resistance up here, sitting at around $1.22. That's kind of like we did on Dogecoin. This is kind of like the same thing we did with Dogecoin. We'd been watching this Fibonacci retracement area where we had a big run up and then we started heading down, set up the Fibonacci tool, watched the top and watched the Fibonacci retracement levels as we go down. Once we actually broke that top, then I was looking at the previous resistances on Dogecoin, something like these previous resistances, and once we broke this top, we came up and hit those targets pretty much right away. So like I was saying, I think the next spot that we might be looking at is around $1.22 if this can continue to move to the upside. So yeah, but yeah, that's one of the coins that looks like it's doing almost the best today actually, is Cardano, and then Cardano to Bitcoin as well. Okay, so this looks interesting as well. Okay, so you know how we look at the Dogecoin to Bitcoin chart. This is the Cardano to Bitcoin chart, ADA Bitcoin. So basically, and check it out, what we have right here kind of looks like a falling wedge where we have resistance, resistance, support, support, support. And we're basically in this channel pattern, or this falling wedge like I just talked about, like that we were in with Dogecoin. But we have this big resistance, and like I was telling you on the Dogecoin to Bitcoin chart, once we break these resistances, that's when we really start flying. So right now, Cardano to Bitcoin is in this falling wedge. If we could break out of right here, the next spot that we'd be looking at is this previous resistance and this previous resistance, which give us some room to go up. So Cardano might be the one that Cardano might be the one. I mean, Cardano might be performing pretty soon if we could break that resistance going to the upside. So yeah, I mean, that's why I like watching the coin to US dollar, or like whatever coin it is, Dogecoin, Doge to US dollar, Cardano to dollar, Bitcoin to dollar. But then I also like looking at the altcoin compared to the Bitcoin chart, because like I just said, it looks like we have this falling wedge. If we break resistances on this chart, that's going to be good for that coin. And yeah, going back to the watch list though, I'm on tradingview.com right now. If you're new to trading, go to tradingview.com, set up an account or sign up for an account, create a watch list, put all your favorite cryptos on there, and then you can see the percentage changes when you start looking at technical analysis in the morning or whatever. But Cardano looks like it is like popping out or standing out today. It's up 11%. Cardano to Bitcoin's up around 10%. It just changed to 10%. So yeah, that kind of gives you clues to watch if you want to jump into like different coins and stuff like that, or just have like a select few and then jump in and out of those ones. That's kind of what I was doing for a long time. Right now, I kind of mostly just stick to Dogecoin and Bitcoin, and then I have holdings on a lot of these other ones. So that's why I like watching them though, is because I do hold a lot of these other ones, smaller amounts, but still. So yeah, Cardano might be one that you might want to check out. Let's see, what else do we got? I think that's about it. Let's go back to, we could look at Ethereum real quick, but it doesn't look like it's performing that great. Let's go back to Dogecoin and just kind of wrap it up. All right, so let's see. I think like I was saying at the beginning, let's go to the hourly time frame. I'm still trying to be patient with Dogecoin, guys. I don't know. Let me know what you guys are thinking, if you guys sold or not. But I'm still trying to be patient. We have the main things that I'm watching right now is this support line that's on the 4-hour time frame. Let's go back to the 4-hour and zoom in. Something like this. Okay, so we have support giving me this trend line. I'm mainly watching that trend line. If we break that going to the downside, then I'm going to get a little more worried. I'll still probably hold on even if we do start breaking to the downside or start really getting a nice correction. But like I said, I've waited this long, so I might as well like wait for a good spot. But that's just me. You know what I mean? You got to do your own thing. And that's why I'm saying, let me know what you guys think in the comments, if you guys already sold or if you guys are waiting, what kind of spots you guys are looking at to get it back in on the downside, or what you guys are doing in general. But I'm watching the support. Hopefully we can stay on it and push to the upside. We also have this resistance trend line right here, and if we break that going to the upside, then we can maybe get a little more confident. So yeah, I'm still hoping that we can continue on this flag pattern breakout kind of thing. I mean, like I said, it's not impossible. We're still on this, technically we're still on this uptrend right here. If we could hold that, continue to break up, then we can maybe start, it's still potentially, it's still a possibility that we can continue to move to the upside and get a nice clean breakout. I think basically, like I was telling you at the beginning too, I watch trends. Once we break the trends, I like watching the top at the bottom. So we have this trend right here. Then I'm looking at the top and I'm looking at the bottom. We technically still haven't broke out of the top or the bottom yet. So I'm still kind of undecided. I still feel like we're in this sideways movement right here. If we could break going to the upside, then we could get more confident on that .606 or 608. I think it was like 606 yesterday. I don't know, something like that. I think it was more like that. I just remember 606. Then we could get more confident on that target. But if we start breaking to the downside, then we might have to set up a Fibonacci retracement chart and to give us levels to watch as we go down. So like I was telling you about the Fibonacci retracement chart, there's probably a few different places you could argue on this. I mean, you could argue that this was kind of the bottom of this big run. You could also argue that like this was the bottom of this run. So what we would do is get the Fibonacci retracement tool, drag from the bottom of the run, maybe let's say something right here, and then drag it to the top of the run. and then that'll give us levels to watch. I mean, you could already kind of see it coming into play. If this was the top right here, you could already kind of see it coming into play where we came down, finding support on that red 23% level sitting at around 0.359. If we break 0.359 and this support line that I was kind of talking about, this bottom right here, that previous bottom, then we would have to start looking at the 38% level, possibly the 50% level. I really like watching the 50% level when we get these moves because a lot of the times it goes all the way down to there. The 38 is sitting at 0.310. The 50% is sitting at 0.270. That is if this was the top right here and we are starting to get a retracement. So we'll have to kind of cross that bridge when we get there if we start breaking that support. I mean, maybe you guys are already like, I think a few people were saying that they were like a little they were being bearish in the comments or something like that. But if we break this one going to the downside, then that's when we could be a little more confident if you're a bear on these targets going down. So yeah, but those are kind of the next things that I'm kind of looking at. Like I said, it's still possible for us to continue on this uptrend and break to the upside, break the top, and then start flying again. But right now, it does look like we're having trouble. Yesterday, I thought not for sure, but I was like pretty confident that once we broke this resistance, that we were going to start heading up, and we did get a nice little leg up, but we found some trouble in this area and started pushing down. It's like my target before was like somewhere up here, and I've been so close to that target, but it's just like we're just having trouble in this area, or in general in this area too. We were having trouble, so let's see what happens. But in general, I'm pretty optimistic on crypto in general right now, which may be a bad thing. I don't know. But well, let's see what happens though. I mean, basically just watching the trend still. We're watching this trend. If it breaks going to the downside, that'll give us a clue. If it breaks to the upside, that'll give us a clue as well and help us get more confident on which way we're going either way. But technically we are still on that little uptrend. So, and technically we haven't broken the top or the bottom yet. So technically we're still kind of trading sideways. So let's see what happens in the next few hours. Yeah, like so I'm on the 4 hour time frame. I mean, if we switch to the 1 hour time frame, we are getting super close to either choosing up or down right here. So we'll find out very soon what happens. But these are kind of some of the things that I'm looking at. Bitcoin looks like it's doing pretty decent. So I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you guys are thinking though. If you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up. And if you like these videos, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate all the subscribers. Thanks for all the support. And if you guys like this video, maybe check out this last video where I was talking about the potential breakout and what we were looking at on yesterday's video. If you're new to trading, check out this playlist right here. It'll help get you started on TradingView. And if you guys like this video, once again, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.